Ripple and XRP just got their biggest validation yet, and nobody is ready for what's coming. A Nasdaq-listed company just filed to use XRP for everything: payments, collateral, even capital raises. In a $50 million move, it just blows a hole through the, well, you've heard it, no utility argument. This isn't some, startup hype cycle. It's a regulated entity making a bet that XRP will be the future financial rails. But that's just the surface. Behind the scenes, Ripple stablecoin RLUSD, it's being positioned for something bigger. Whispers are growing that Bank of America may use it for internal transactions, bypassing the old system entirely. Some of this, probably hype, but there's a lot of substance here. We're going to unpack it. Now, you got to ask yourself, why now? Why quietly? And why are insiders leaking rumors before anything is confirmed? Well, because something is happening in the shadows, and once that trigger is pulled, it won't be for the retail that benefits. It's the institutional move that's just on the horizon. We're going to break it down in its entirety here in this video. Now, as you can see, I'm not in the $1 million studio, don't have fancy equipment all around me to make this video happen, but I still wanted to reach out here and get you the info. So let's go through it here carefully. Now, down below in the pinned comment, there'll be a section there where I ask the question, where do you see XRP going this cycle? If you can answer that for me, and if you have any extra information, it helps me aggregate all these answers, and I run that into my AI systems. Roundabout, what price target are you looking for XRP? And if you have a why, what's the big driver of value? Let me know that as well. Helps me out a whole lot. You get a different perspective from people on YouTube to X and all over the place. So I really appreciate it. Now, this Nasdaq-listed company, it's a health company. Get that. It files to use XRP in this $50 million infrastructure. Groundbreaking corporate adoption. We see this happening more and more and more. Wellgistics Health, they've submitted an S1 filing with the SEC revealing plans to raise $50 million for integrating XRP and the XRP ledger into its operations. Now again, this isn't like the penny stock company the other day. This is a publicly traded company listed on the Nasdaq, and they're looking to use XRP Ledger for treasury management, using XRP as part of their treasury strategy for efficient asset management. So we're going to see more of this, where people move some value, not all of it, but some of it, into these global currencies to protect their value long term. Payment infrastructure, of course, that's what XRP Ledger is all about, leveraging XRP for fast, low-cost payment settlements. And then collateral and capital markets, utilizing XRP as collateral for financial operations and setting a precedent for corporate use. So this is a big move by a regulated entity, and this is the future. It's not just a couple of wackos. We saw Michael Saylor make a move with strategy. I don't agree with everything he's doing, but you can see what holding crypto assets has done for the value of his company long term. We're just going to see more and more and more of this. All right, we have Bank of America. You're just hearing a ton of chatter out there that Bank of America is going to just fully run over to the XRP ledger, and that they are, making this transition to bypass the current system. Well, we know there's been a long-standing established relationship with Ripple and Bank of America. They've maintained it. They've been working together for a long time here to bring in the future of finance. Bank of America has talked about how inefficient the current system is, and they need something new because they waste billions of dollars a year. Best believe they are chomping at the bit here. They know RLUSD, fully regulatory compliant, NYDFS, backed by the U.S. Treasury once they get that banking license, and custody by BNY Mellon, meeting all kind of requirements they would need here. Bank of America has told us that they are going to make the move into stablecoins, well, as soon as it is legal. And guess what? We just had the Genius Act pass, and it is as legal as it gets now. They have the guidelines they need to roll out this system, and they're going to do exactly that. So Bank of America is bringing a stablecoin. You know that they've worked closely with Ripple. Ripple has a long-standing history of making stablecoin payments in their operations, long before they even had RLUSD. They use Tether, they use USDC, all sorts of stuff. So they've been doing this a long time. They know what they're doing. Now they have this compliant next-gen stablecoin that's interoperable between multiple networks. And so I'll tell you this, if they're not using RLUSD, I bet you, they are leveraging Ripple Pay. They're going to leverage Ripple's expertise, and they're going to roll out something here. And it likely will settle, at least partially, on the XRP ledger. Ripple's going to be involved here, if not, completely. You best believe it. It's just a matter of time. Now, can we rely on this information that they're going to use RLUSD completely internally and just bypass the system? I don't think we've seen any information to substantiate that, but there is some reality to us working towards that. So I think people are hyping up a very real situation to some degree. We are going to see traction there. I just don't think it's quite what people are proclaiming at this point in time. I haven't seen any backup, at least to this date. Now, Ripple's multi-chain vision, wormhole integration, expanding the XRP ledger ecosystem. This was posted today by Ripple on Ripple X website, just giving more clarification on where they're building this out. I know not everyone loves the wormhole solution, but I think it's one that's ready to go now. And it's going to connect the XRP ledger to 35 plus blockchains. This is what we want because, XRP ledger can help a lot of these blockchains scale. When things get busy, it's expensive. They need to offload some of those transactions. Hey, send it over to the best blockchain ever made for trading, settling, and swapping assets. Like our big problem in the XRP ledger is we don't have enough interesting assets. When you look at the DEX, you got XRP, you got a stablecoin. Like we need more stuff. Now we're going to bring the most exciting assets from 35 different blockchains onto the XRP ledger, and it goes both ways. We can also send assets over into those ecosystems as well. Specifically XRP, put XRP in motion. This is exciting. Again, 35 plus blockchains, wormhole integration connects XRP ledger to different blockchain networks, creating a vast interoperable ecosystem. Interoperability is our friend, and it is the future. 60 billion plus in transaction volume from Wormhole already. Wormhole has facilitated over 60 billion in cross chain volume, so they've had success. They have got traction here, and I think when you toss XRP ledger in the middle here, they're going to do a heck of a lot here. And two major implementations, integration with both the native XRP ledger and the EVM sidechain, enabling diverse applications in development. This strategic partnership transforms XRP ledger into a multi-chain financial powerhouse. I believe that the future of the XRP ledger is this hub, this financial hub, to bring on real-world value and then also to bring on value from different blockchains. I think that's where we have the most success, where we bring the most value, and ultimately where we see the most growth is this hub where you can put anything of value into there, and it's this global financial marketplace for any sort of trade here. Now, I got to tell you this. I see it all the time. There'll be a website of goods and services or whatever it is, and they're accepting crypto payments. And you look at it and it's never XRP. That offends me because you have like Litecoin on there and it's like, let's get real here. What are you thinking? Well, there's a reason for that. Listen, Ripple's solving huge problems, massive problems. They don't have time to go to these rinky-dink little websites and things. These might be $10 million problems, $50 million problems, $100 million problems, like pretty big, but just not big enough for Ripple and what they're trying to do. But still quite substantial, and people should go in there and tackle these issues. If we have a website that wants to offer blockchain payments, it better allow XRP. Like, what the heck kind of thing is this? You have fast, instant payments. It's better for the actual business as well. Now you can incorporate, stable coins. And so the issue, we need more builders here, of course. DAO, that's what this is about. Democratizing XRP ledger. And so I have this write-up here, Beyond Traditional Crypto Applications. I was talking to one of the founders here, Fabio, and I said, what are we looking here? What are we thinking? DeFi, NFTs? He's like, yeah, sure. We want all of that, but looking also beyond that, beyond your typical DeFi application, supporting real-world businesses. Maybe you got a coffee shop, a retail storefront, online tutoring, platforms, digital storefronts, selling handmade goods, like anything like this. He says, ultimately, look, who's going to decide what the DAO supports? Well, it's going to be you and me and the members, of course, but that's kind of the founding vision here, that if you have something that solves real-world problems and you leverage the XRP ledger somehow, DAO wants to help you launch and scale. And so that's what this is about, bringing the XRP ledger to the real world. So when you see online payments, it's going to have XRP. Someone has a cool, real world business that somehow blockchain can help. They're using XRP. This is what we want to do. And this is how we can take part in that future with the Zao DAO. Look, it might not be as big. Each one of these things that we're talking about is cross-border payments or RWAs. But in totality, when you add it all up, look, this is the only kind of thing that Bitcoin has, and it's the biggest crypto in the world. If you stack that on top of all the enterprise stuff that's happening, it's just going to be this huge deal. Plus, again, it's just offensive that the XRP ledger, it isn't used to solve all these real world problems that it could be. And David Schwartz has talked about that. They assumed just because it had the functionality that it'd be like the Field of Dreams. People would just come and build things. It would just happen. And that hasn't happened. And the Zao DAO is going to help spark that revolution. Down below in the description, there'll be a link. Follow them on X. Follow the Zao DAO. I'm a marketing advisor for the project, but we're trying to get those followers up so we can get information out to you. And again, this isn't about investing your money into some token or some investment. This is about the XRP community coming together, deciding what real world problems should be solved with the XRP ledger and how do we help people go do that. Maybe you're a builder and you have an idea. Zao DAO can help. Maybe you're an investor and you want to invest in one of these startup projects because it could scale and make you a lot of money. Great. Zao DAO, that's where you want to go. Maybe you're just an XRP enthusiast and you have opinions, you have ideas. That's fine as well. We're going to direct together the Zao DAO and its power to make sure XRP ledger is used anywhere that it should be to solve real world problems, because that's the entire point. Now, when we look at this video in total here, the expanding XRP ecosystem, beyond payments, this is just this video. There are so many things beyond this, like RWAs, things of this nature that we're not talking about here. But of course, we have banking integrations, partnership potentials with major institutions like Bank of America. We have the healthcare sector, a company in the healthcare sector. We had a story about that. Cross-chain connectivity, retail applications through the Zao DAO, institutional investment. Like, you can see, if this was a video 5 years ago, it would just be about these partners and cross-border payments, and that's it. You can see how this is fanning out and how the utility is building and the value is building. And it's just going to get bigger and bigger as it gets involved in every little corner of finance and payments and investing and value. It's going to be huge, and it's just starting. I hope you can recognize that and that you see that. Now, a lot of people were giving Chris Larson, guff about selling some XRP. They didn't like it. He shouldn't have sold it. We see a Satoshi era Bitcoin movement, and the market's resilient. Someone went and moved a massive amount of Bitcoin that had been sitting there since 2010, 2011. We're talking about billions of dollars. Galaxy Digital, they facilitated the sale of 80,000 Bitcoins, again, from a Satoshi era wallet. So, been sitting on forever, and part of an estate planning liquidation, they sold onto the market. Galaxy Digital did the best they could with that without affecting the price. Of course, it did a little bit. It's rebounding. We see XRP now starting to rebound. Like, we can't expect the whales are just going to wait for us to make our money before they sell. Life doesn't work like that. That's not reality. We just have to hope that blockchain adoption outgrows those people that do sell and punishes them and makes them wish they would have never sold any of their crypto. But we see this in Bitcoin. You see this in Ethereum for sure. You see it in XRP. There's people that are sitting on, billions of dollars in crypto, and they've already made it. They don't need more. It could be part of estate planning. It could be a lifestyle issue. Take some chips off the table, whatever. As long as someone's doing it responsibly, like Chris did, less than 2% of what he holds, I don't have a problem, and I actually like it if you're selling it at a time when there's a lot of volume, a lot of transactions, because then you're just not driving the price down that bad. Let me know what you think, though, down below. Institutional shift. Now, this is interesting. The Ethereum ETF is surging as the Bitcoin ETF is cooling a little bit. I think that this is an indicator we are starting to move into an alt season where people really want those riskier assets with more growth potential. I still think that Bitcoin will do well. I think it's got more growth ahead of it, but it's not going to be the driver. I think we're going to transition over into this alt season. We'll have to see it play out, though. Maybe I'm wrong. We're looking at everything right now. It's really interesting. We're seeing this kind of split screen economy, right? We saw S&P 500 once again going to new all-time highs, and then we're seeing trouble in different sectors. One is Intel, a big decline, $441 million quarterly loss, cutting 15% of their staff, almost 34,000 employees worldwide, shutting down facilities, and they might get out of manufacturing altogether. Now, of course, this is kind of Intel's problems per se, but we're seeing some other trouble out there. And so it's interesting to see who kind of can deal with the current situation, because it's not easy. It's not easy with all the trade war stuff going on, the inflation that we've been dealing with, high interest rates. It's tricky, but in general, most of your big businesses, they're doing pretty good. We're seeing spots, a little bit of fires we got to put out. But as of now, we couldn't be sitting in a better place. It looks like this, bull run continues in traditional markets, tech sector, the AI play, S&P 500, QQQ, keep driving up farther, and also that gives us more room for the crypto market to continue to expand. Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.